Hello, my beauties. How are you? Gather, gather, gather round. I am going to go turn on the light. Give everybody a minute to arrive. And give me a like or a comment when you get here. We'll get started in about, 30 seconds. We'll start with a guided meditation. Actually, just a really simple 1-minute meditation. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the practice. Hello, I see people are joining. Hi, who is this? Hi, Eileen. Who else is here? I see that 2 are here. Give me a like or comment when you arrive. Hello, my friends. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with a brief meditation. There will not be, I see a comment. So for some reason it's not showing me my comments. Hey, Kelly. Okay, no problem. Listen along. That's plenty. Okay, so and don't meditate, Kelly, if you're driving. But what we're going to do is start with a meditation. So back straight, either legs crossed or feet on the ground. Finding your breath, so taking a deep breath into your belly and release. Another deep breath all the way into your belly and release. And you're just going to focus your attention on your breath for the next minute while we meditate. And when your mind wanders from the breath, when you find that you've started thinking about something else, just bring it back to the breath. So once again, back straight, either legs crossed or both feet on the ground, palms up or palms down on your thighs. You can close your eyes and begin focusing on your breath. Focusing on the in-breath and the out-breath. And go ahead and come back whenever you're ready. So, here we are talking about the metaphysics of writing. I have been so excited about this because my past life is as a writer. So if you all don't know about my history, I'll tell you. Hi, darling. Hi, Louise. If you don't know about my history, I'll just tell you that I was a writer in New York City. All of my friends were cynical, atheist writers, and I love them all. I was a teacher at Columbia University. I hold an MFA from Columbia. Published a book called May Cause Love with HarperCollins in 2017. It was a book I spent, my entire 20s working on. And countless hours writing that book. My God, if you're writing a book, give me a shout out here. I feel your pain. It's so not easy. So, and I learned a lot. If you've ever written a book or spent many, many hours writing, and I know several of you are writers here, then you really start to understand something about the energy of writing, whether you've consciously processed that you understand that energy or not. And so I'm going to talk about that today. We're going to be talking really as I started to do this, as I started to plan this workshop. And let me know, if you have any questions come up. I'm having a little bit of a hard time with seeing when comments are coming up, but I'm refreshing. So just let me know if you have any questions. But as I was planning this, what I learned was that I could freaking teach a whole weekend on this. So what we're going to do today is really just give you the scaffolding, the mindset shifts, and the consciousness that you need to write using metaphysics, being connected, having that energetic channel, that divine channel, so that you're really doing so that you get out of the way, so that you can just do this work in peace and without fear of what other people think of you. Because as an activist, any kind of creative or artist or healer, you're going to have to do some truth telling, and truth telling pisses people off, right? So what we're going to have to do is really release that fear of what other people think of us in order to tell the truth in our work. And hey, Kelly, oh my gosh, yay. Okay. So we've got some writers in the house. This is so exciting. So truth tellers, we're going to have to be truth tellers. We're going to have to be okay with pissing people off. And that includes both our, everybody from our family and our friends and even our community, that we've lived with, to the actual publications that we want to write for. Right. So it's going to be, and I've written for every place from the New York Times to Women's Health. I interned for New Yorker magazine in New York City. And so I know, there is some status quo stuff going on, and it's our job as creatives, healers, and activists to shake shit up. That is our work on this planet. Some of the best writers I know are not writers. Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. Some of the best writers I know aren't writers. And part of the reason for that is that they aren't trying to write something. They're not trying. They're just writing. They're just letting God or the universe or spirit or their intuition speak through them. There's no craft. And I am somebody who's against craft. I believe, and I think that, when we're doing this work, we are channeling, and when we're at our best, right, is that we don't need craft. We all have unique communication styles, and our communication style, our way of speaking is our craft. We don't need to manipulate that. Eileen, who is here, has a gorgeous way of speaking. If you've ever met Eileen, she speaks so beautifully, and she's also an amazing writer. And that's just her natural gift, is to speak in that way. And so she's able to write in that way too. So however you naturally speak is going to be how you naturally write. And you don't need to create some kind of craft around it. I believe that craft is where we get in the way of God, and or source or whatever. When I say the word God, I mean whatever words you want to use, from intuition to source to whatever. So our work is to just get ourselves out of the way, to get our fears out of the way, so that we can let that truth, that essence of ourselves, of our true selves, our true self-expression come through us without any sort of impediment or block in the way. So writing is just writing. Writing is just communicating. We all have a unique communication style. No matter what you do, you are capable of writing. No matter who you are, no matter what you're here to give, you are fully capable of writing, and it's also necessary that you write. So as a writer, let's just talk about some of the ways. Why don't you, in the comments, will you tell me some of the ways that you use writing in your work, regardless of what you do? Tell me some of the ways that writing comes in to your work. Don't tell me if you're driving. Kelly's not allowed to tell us. But share some of the ways that writing comes into your work. So it might be that you have to send an email to your email list. It might be that you're an activist, so you need to write an op-ed for a newspaper to get people's attention on something. You might need to write social media posts. Social media is actually a hugely important communication tool right now, and people trivialize it a lot, but it's actually incredibly important. Look where we're meeting right now, right? We're meeting on social media. So I think that writing for social media is real writing, and it matters. Yep. Okay, Louise, blogs, guides for clients, absolutely. So your writing is of service. Your writing is of service to the world. Your writing is of service to the people that you're serving. So it's really important that we understand how to get out of the way so that we're really serving at the highest level with our writing. Okay, Kelly says that she uses writing to tell stories, write blogs, email, social media posts. Yes, absolutely. So it's coming into everyone's work. Whatever you're doing, you're using writing. And if you're not using writing, you might want to consider how you could use writing for your work, because what we're going to be talking about today in the context is we're in She Profits. We are here to profit financially and spiritually. And so we're going to be thinking about writing as it relates to money. So how do we use writing as part of our businesses? Whether we're activists, healers, entrepreneurs, or creatives, we need to be using writing in our work in order to get our message out there. It's a primary way of reaching the people that you want to reach, of reaching potential people who might want to work with you, of sharing with them who you are and what you're here to give. And it's a really important way of being of service. Yeah, Eileen says writing is how I figure things out. Heck yeah, totally. Me too. So writing is really important work, okay? So what I wanted to talk about today was how to use metaphysics in your writing to touch your audience and transform them, because that's really, we're here to transform, correct? Gandhi talks about how what we do is infused with the energy with which we do it. What we do is infused with the energy with which we do it. Another way he said that is the ends are inherent in the means. So I remember when I was writing my book, I hit a point where I realized the consciousness with which I wrote this book, the previous draft, was not the consciousness that I wanted to put out in the world. So I actually scrapped that draft because it was from a much younger consciousness. And especially if you've been working on any piece of writing for a long period of time and you've gone through a transformation, the earlier chapters will not resonate with the latter chapters. You might have been reading a book before and noticed, like, why does this book feel different at the beginning than the end? It might have even been my book. And if that's the case, it's because the consciousness of the writer has changed in the writing. Does this make sense? Have you ever noticed the consciousness of the writer? Have you ever felt that jump off the page? Share below. Share that in the comments. And if you haven't ever noticed it, I want you to start noticing from other writers their consciousness, how their consciousness comes through, how their unique spirit comes through. It's not even their writing style. It's just like an essence of who they are comes through the page. It's not necessarily even a turn of phrase. It's just something about who they are is moving through the words. And it can't be taught. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I want you to tell me that too. I'm refreshing. Yes. Okay. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. Kelly, I hope you're not driving when you type that. Okay. So So what happens when we're infused? So when we are writing, we're infusing others with our consciousness, and we need to be aware of that power. Whether we're posting on social media, which I think most of the people in this group are posting on social media for some element of their work or their activism or creativity, and so we need to be aware that what we're posting out there is spreading a certain energy. So our jobs as people who are here to raise the vibration of the planet is to get in a really high vibration before we share. That does not mean that we share only rainbows and sunshine and butterflies when we put it out there. It means that even when we have to tell a hard, dark truth, because, Course in Miracles says that you cannot bring light to the darkness, you must bring the darkness to the light, which means that we are here to tell the truth, even if it's a hard truth. But you can be in a high vibration when you tell a hard truth. Can I get an amen? Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. These are kind of like high spiritual teachings, so I want you to, if you have any questions, please bring them to me. Please don't feel afraid to ask them. Okay. So let's talk about how to put yourself in a high vibration before you write. And this is going to prepare you to become an open channel too, because you can't be like a partially open channel. A lot of us are partially open channels. Like we have a voice, but then we're like, can I say that? And it's like, yeah, you can. Okay. So here are the ways you can put yourself in a high vibration when you are about to write. The first thing is to make sure that your morning practice is on lock. And I talk about the morning practice. We have a section of She Prophets that, amen, yes, okay. We have a section of the practice of She Prophets that talks about the morning practice. And that is prayer, meditation, and grief. So starting your day before you check your cell phone, making sure that you're getting your mind in order so that your mind belongs to you before you're going out and letting anything else permeate your consciousness. So you've given your mind to yourself, you've sealed it off, and you're allowing yourself to be a channel for the divine before you go out and allow anything else to permeate, and before you start permeating others, right? So it goes both ways. The next way is to do any sort of fear exercise related to what you're about to write. And don't worry, I'm going to give you an exercise in a few minutes on this. But it's important to do fear exercises to release any fear about what you're about to write, to do a deprogram yourself if there are any beliefs about the rightness or wrongness or what you're allowed to say before you start writing. And if there's a person out there who you're afraid is going to judge you or misunderstand you, it's important to do a free the past. So all this is just clearing the energy. And this might sound like a lot of freaking work before you start writing. And in the beginning it is, because you're clearing away all of the mental debris, right? The fears, the anger, the limiting beliefs that keep us from being a clear channel, from really saying what we need to say. Because writing is just communicating. So we're going to clear that away, and that raises our vibration. That also, once you've done that a few times, you're going to be, oh, good. Okay, so Kelly says, I've been doing the practice every day since 1-1. Hell yeah. So once you've done that a few times, you'll actually have opened the channel. You won't need to keep doing it unless you realize, oh, I just realized I'm a little afraid of what so-and-so would think. Because as you put yourself out there more, you're going to attract attention to people from more and more people. So you might find out along your journey, oh, I'm afraid of what so-and-so would think. Before, it wouldn't even occur to me they'd even be reading my work. But holy shit, they're reading my work, and I just realized I'm afraid. I don't want that to suppress my voice, so I'm going to do a fear inventory or a fear exercise. Does this make sense? So the next thing you're going to do, and I'm going to go into further detail on each of these points in a minute. I just want to give you kind of the overview of, honest to God, what could be like a weekend retreat. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you've cleared out all of that fearful, limiting belief, angry energy, right? Now you're a clear channel. The next thing you want to do is pick one person in your mind to be your audience member. And this is somebody who absolutely is crazy about you, loves your work, everything you say is gold, every word that you speak is genius. They are just waiting for you, okay? This is who you want to picture waiting for your work. You don't want to picture some asshole who's judging you. You want to picture somebody who loves to read your posts or read your emails or your op-eds or whatever it is, your stories, your essays, whatever you're doing, okay? Your blog posts. And this could be, if you have a business, this could be your ideal client. So it definitely would want to be your ideal client if you have a business. And if you do have a business, you should definitely have one ideal client that you're speaking to, potentially two if you have a couple of different offers. But, usually we start with one ideal client. Or your ideal reader. If you're a writer, if writing is your main thing, you pick your ideal reader. Then before you get started, and I'm going to keep refreshing to see if any questions are coming up from anybody. Okay, no questions so far. Okay, then you'll want to then you want to choose the one takeaway from whatever you're about to write, the one takeaway that you want people to have. And this puts you in the vibration of giving, which is a really nice vibration to be in. People can feel that when you're being generous on the page. They can feel when you're in the vibration of giving versus like, I just need to express myself, which is, it's fine to do that. It's totally fine to do that. But the vibration of giving is really, it's felt. It's felt through from the audience. So you choose the one takeaway, the one idea that you want them to understand, or the one thing that you want them to think or believe or feel by the time they're finished reading whatever you're writing. And you can write that down. And then the next thing you do is write without censorship. Do not censor yourself. Let yourself say whatever the F you want to say. And remember, you're just speaking to this one person who loves everything you say. So this person who loves it when you speak the truth, loves it when you make a joke, one of your specific weird jokes if you're one of those kinds of people. It's somebody who loves you for your whole complete self. That is who you're writing to. You're not writing to somebody who doesn't want you to be, if you're funny, who doesn't want you to be funny. You're not writing to somebody who doesn't want you to talk about metaphysics and spirituality if you like to talk about metaphysics and spirituality, or somebody who says, oh, you're not allowed to talk about that particular story or subject. You're talking to somebody who loves all of you, who wants what you're offering. This is your ideal. And then in the editing phase, there are two, and this way you're working with God or the universe or whatever, because you've cleared away the energy, you're in the spirit of giving, and you're just telling the truth. There is nothing about that where that is all the divine. After that, once you're done saying whatever you need to say, there's a phrase in writing, and the writers here who are like people with MFAs and people who have written books and been writing for a while will know this one. Kill your darlings. And the idea of kill your darlings is pick the line that you like the best and delete it. Why would you do that though? Why would you delete your best line? It's because oftentimes we get too attached to our best line. And when we're attached to something, that blocks out God. So there's actually this is a writing technique, is to find your favorite line and to let it go. It can often be skewing the entire piece. So like you find this one line you wrote and you love it so much that you end up writing the entire piece around that one line, and it like ruins the piece. So just, as fast as you realize you have a darling, go ahead and kill it. The next thing is to just go through and choose what your audience is important for your audience to know in order for them to have your one big takeaway, and release everything else. You can make that another post, turn it into an Instagram post, turn it into a blog post, make it part of another training, another story, another essay, but it doesn't need to be there. And that one can be tricky. You work on something for so long and it turns out to just be a paragraph and you thought it was like, 10 pages. That's writing though. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, because we're going to move into some prep work. Grab pen and paper if you don't have any. I'm just going to give everybody a chance to grab pen and paper. Give me a like or comment if you're all set and ready to go. I don't want to rush off without you. So all this is going to prepare you to have a consciousness that's very attractive to a reader. So when people get to your writing, they're going to feel attracted to it because it's going to emanate light no matter what you're writing about. You don't have to, doesn't mean you have to write all fluffy things. You just are writing from a certain consciousness level. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. All set, pen in hand, ready. Okay, great, fabulous. I see everybody's ready to go. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is list your fears about writing or about what you want to say and are allowed to say. So it might be, I'm afraid that when I sit down to write, nothing's going to come out. I'm afraid that I'm going to start this story I've always wanted to tell, and it's not going to meet my standards. I'm afraid I'm going to write this post, and nobody's going to like it. I'm afraid people won't understand. I'm afraid I'm going to piss off my Aunt Susie, who doesn't like it when I write about my love life. I'm just making stuff up. I'm afraid that my sibling will find out about X, Y, and Z. I'm afraid I'm going to alienate people. Write down whatever it is. I'm afraid people, if I tell the truth about this, I'm going to lose clients. I'm going to lose readers. I'm afraid people don't really want to know the authentic me. People just talk about authenticity because it's fashionable. So whatever your fears are, and go ahead and share them below as they come up. I bet we'll share some fears. I bet we all kind of have some of the same fears. I'm just going to give you a minute to write. And when you have a moment, go ahead and share a fear or two or 3 or 4 or 5 in the comments. Part of the joy of doing this together is knowing, hey, wait a minute, like I'm not the only one who has this thought before I start writing or about the things I'd like to say. Louise, I'm worried that I'll upset my family. I'm afraid I'll hurt my loved ones by telling all my stories in my book. Yes. Okay, the fear of upsetting the family is so common in writing. It's honestly one of the most common ones. And what you're going to be doing for each one of these is writing a fear exercise on it and listening to the fear meditation and then taking the action. So remember that in the practice, which addresses fear, unforgiveness, and limiting beliefs with the deprogram yourself exercise, all of that is a full system. And the system goes that you first write down whatever it is. You do the writing exercise with the worksheet, and then you do the guided meditation, and then you take the action. If you take any of those pieces out, we have not done the practice, right? But if you do all of those, you're going to have a transformation. And when you do the work around your family and your fear around your family, here's what I want you to know. First of all, you'll be surprised. Some people you will piss off. Far more will be amazed and want to talk to you more, and you'll actually have more closeness with them. So what we think is if I tell the truth, then people won't like me as much. But often at times we tell the truth and people feel even closer. Now, there are times when you will piss off the family, I've pissed off my family about really surprising things. Like it's never what I thought, it's never been what I thought they're going to be mad about. It's always some random thing. And I mean, I've written all about my sex life, like in very vivid detail, etc., in books, in the New York Times, everywhere. And what my mom got mad about was that she says that I misrepresented her by having her holding a bottle of hairspray in her hand. And she was literally like mad about that for years, actually. She's like, I never wore hairspray. So you never know what is going to make people mad. And so you just have to be you. And so what I have done is, as I've gotten even more, for me, the scary thing to talk about was spirituality. And as I've gotten more and more and more truthful and put more, and my mother-in-law also, she seems kind of uncomfortable with some of the things that I write about. I mean, frankly, she is uncomfortable with a lot of the things I write about just in my posts on Instagram. But as I've gotten more and more and more honest, what I've understood is you have to just shake things up and allow a period of shaking things up. Allow people to go through their own experience. It might take them 10 minutes. It might take them 3 years to get over it, but eventually they're going to get used to the true you. Because this work, we're talking about the metaphysics of writing right now, but what we're really talking about is you becoming the full expression of you. That's what we're really talking about, is you becoming the full expression of you, which is you allowing the divine to be fully expressed on the planet. And so as you do that, you do shake things up, and then you have to do the work to, and this is where the fear exercise comes in, allowing others to have their own experience, allowing people to be pissed off at you, sending them your love, imagining it, rehearsing in your mind that they might be mad at me, and it's okay if they're mad at me. I can handle that. I can send them love, and they on their own time will come back to me. I'll pray for them in the meantime. Okay, Caroline says, I'm afraid that I have nothing original or interesting to contribute to my field of research. Ooh, okay, definitely do a fear exercise on that. This whole nothing interesting to contribute thing is interesting, actually, because the reason that is so important to talk about is that not starting or keeping when we're in a place where we're suppressed because we think we're not going to be able to say something interesting, so we hold back, it actually creates what we're afraid of. In order to find the interesting thing, we have to keep expressing. It's like it's standing in line waiting to be written. It might be standing in line. The very interesting thing and unique thing you have to say might be standing in line behind a lot of other things that other people have said that you're going to have to get out first. But you're going to have to get those things out first. So be willing to be uninteresting on your way to becoming very interesting. Make sense? Okay, very good. So if there are any other fears, I'll just kind of workshop those on the spot. Otherwise, I'll bring you to the next part of the exercise. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next part of the exercise. So once you've done those, written out all your fears, you'll want to run them through the practice, the worksheet over in the practice part of She Profits and the meditation, and then take the action. The next thing we want to talk about is limiting beliefs. Okay. These are the beliefs that hold us back from speaking the truth, from sitting down to write, from whatever it is. So what I want you to do is write down right now other people's rules about writing, other people's rules about what you're allowed to say and not say. List them. So you're writing down other people's rules for you. These are the ways that we've been programmed. Or what you think other people's rules are. So we're writing down other people's rules for us. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. And go ahead, whenever you're ready, you can share some of the rules that other people have for you about writing, about what you're allowed to say. Okay, go ahead and find a nice stopping place for writing the rules and share in the comments other people's rules for you. Okay, that I can't write, okay, Eileen, that I can't write about my former marriage because that infringes on privacy of X. Wow. Wow, yeah. So that is a something that you would want to do the deprogram yourself on. So that's just a belief. And you want to ask the next question, is it true? No, it's not true. What's possible if it's not true? And then that becomes the way that you reprogram yourself, is this new possibility of what is possible if this rule that somebody else gave us or that we think is we're beholden to is not true. There are new possibilities on the other side of that. And those new possibilities are what we have to be committed to reprogramming. Oh my God, this is so wild. Louise has the exact same fear as Eileen. Y'all, this is amazing. You guys rule. You had some of the same beliefs too. That's so wild. Okay, so these are all ideas that must be deprogrammed because the truth is you can write whatever the fuck you want. That's the truth. And as somebody, I have written about all of my exes. Not all. Believe it or not all. I've written about a lot of my exes. I wrote about very, very revealing things in my book, including even leading up to my marriage. And you can do whatever you want. It's a free country. You're a free person, and you can literally write about anything that you choose to write about. You just might want to change names. But do the deprogram yourself. So I don't want you to step over what I don't want you to step over what the work, because there needs to be some transformational work in there. That transformation is what is going to make this natural for you when you're writing. Okay, now the final question that I want you to ask yourself is who would you be afraid of reading your work if you said what you really wanted to say? Who would you be? So I want you to name names. Who would you be afraid of reading your work if you said what you really wanted to say? So make a list of people. And go ahead and feel free to share some of those people in the comments. Yeah, so being afraid to write about other people's addictions, aka my father. Yeah. Yeah, so you want to do, that's a fear. I think that's a fear. So doing a fear exercise to clear that fear out, and then doing a free the past exercise on your father. Okay, so apparently the people that we're afraid are going to read our work is just the X. Just the X. Well, listen, guess what? I'm going to tell you something right now. This is, I didn't know this was going to come up, but I wrote a book, May Cause Love. When I wrote that book, I wrote all about an X, and like throughout the book, very, very vulnerable, revealing, like about my basic interest and obsession with him over the course of 15 years. And he was terrified to read that book. So listen, your ex might be more afraid to read it than you are to write it. I don't even know if he ever did. One day he said, I think I'm going to read it now, and put like a scared face. So what you're going to do, though, in all seriousness, is to do a free the past exercise on these people. Okay. And then make sure you do the fear work and belief work around this whole idea, the fear of writing about them, and having it be not just writing about them, but having it be public. And then the belief, or the programming that we're not supposed to write about other people. Now, it doesn't mean that that you use their names. It doesn't mean that you tell all the gory details. You don't have to. We really want to take responsibility for ourselves in these situations, while still telling the truth about the things that occurred. So, if you're clear, if you do all that work that I just talked about, then the truth of it is that God and the universe is going to be involved, so you don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing, because you're going to be in right alignment. You're going to be clear of fear, anger, and programmed beliefs, and that makes you a clear channel. Yeah, okay. Well, you know what? I see this also, my daughters, I don't want them to see their dad that way. I hear you. And what I would say about that is to pray about that. And there might be an answer that surprises you, but it's really hard to hear the answer that surprises us if our mind has fear, anger, and limiting beliefs. Now remember, the presence is where we receive the downloads, is when we're in presence, when we're present. In the present, there's no past and no future. The past comes into our present when we have resentment and anger. Anger and resentment are thoughts about the past, things that happened in the past. Fear is thoughts about things that happen in the future. And the deprogram yourself is it releases all the binds that we have based on just plain beliefs that are occurring in our reality. So once you've moved all those out of the way, God is going to tell you whether it's cool to write about him and exactly how to write about him. You don't even have to think about it. And that's the whole thing about being against craft. That's why I'm not about you sitting there figuring out how to say certain things. I'm about you telling the truth. And then once you're done telling the truth, you can go back in and say, God, what would you have me edit? You kill your darlings, and then you take away anything that isn't serving your audience. So remember, you're not writing about these things for you, you're writing about these things to serve. So when we get into that feeling of am I allowed to tell this? Well, the question is, why am I telling this? And who am I telling it for? And how will it serve them? How will it serve them? And so if you answer those questions in honesty and clear away all of that mental clutter, you're going to be able to be in service when you do it, and they might even like it. I will tell you, I wrote about another ex that I had for the New York Times, and I thought, and actually he's all over my book too, and I thought, gosh, I hope he never reads it. In fact, he was in prison when it came out in the New York Times, and I was like, I just hope he never finds this. And when he did find it, and he not only read that piece, but he read my book. He was in prison again by the time my book came out. He wrote me the nicest letter from jail telling me how much he loved the book. And this is somebody who I did not paint in a beautiful light. He has a daughter, and I did not paint him in a wonderful light. I just told what happened, and I really tried to be in integrity and in honesty and get myself out of the way. I just told the story. I just let whatever came out can't come out, and then I went back and with God did some editing, and that is what came out, and he loved it, and his parents loved it. So, it's really, people are actually not afraid and not to see themselves if they're told with in that vibration. Does this make sense? You'd be really surprised how people respond when you do it from a place of clarity and a place of just telling the truth. People tend to actually feel really honored when you write about them. So the next thing I want to move on to talk to you about is your ideal reader and client. So I'm going to give you some things to think about. I don't think we have time, honest to God. I mean, I could have gone on and on with this, but I don't think we have time to just go through each one. But what I'm going to do is give you some prompts that you can use later to consider this. If you already have a business, then you probably have done this work before. But if you haven't, then and if you do have a business and you haven't done this work, you definitely need to. And for any form of writing, this is really important. So what we're thinking about is your ideal client or reader. And these are the things that you're going to make up a person. You're literally going to create a fake person. You're going to name them, and you're going to write only to this person. This is the person who is wild about you. They're wild about whatever you do on this planet, whether you're a writer or an activist or an inventor, a creative, whatever you do, they are crazy about it. They cannot get enough of it, okay? So you choose, number one, what is their name? You make up some fake name that you love. So what is their name? Where do they live? What is their lifestyle? So do they have kids? Are they single? How old are they? Do they live in an apartment? Do they live in a city? How much do they make each year? Are they working? What do they do for work? What do they love? What do they love? Write down 10 things that this person loves. Now, this part is really important because this part brings you into honesty, and it really brings you into the place where you can touch their soul. And if you're writing from that clear place where you don't have your fears and you're not writing with trepidation, you're really going to be able to move and transform them. So these are the questions you want to ask. What is their greatest fear? What is your ideal client or reader's greatest fear? What is their darkest secret? What is the darkest secret that they don't want anybody to know? And if there's somebody who talks about everything, there's still a secret behind that. what do they most desire? What does this person most desire right now? Not just in general, but like in this moment, what does this ideal client or reader most desire? And then what do they most desire that they can't tell anybody about? So like we have these desires that are like fronts, you know? Like a lot of people have front desires. Like, oh, that desire sounds really nice, you know? I think I can walk that out at a party. But then a lot of people have a secret desire behind that desire, and that's what you want to know about your ideal reader or client. Do you have any questions about anything I just said? So your work is to speak only to this person. You speak only to this ideal person. You offer to this person whatever it is that you're sharing, and you craft so that therefore, if you're afraid, well, what if my dad reads this, or what if my ex reads this? Those fears fall by the wayside because you're not really in that mode anymore. You're now in a position of being of service. You've cleared everything out by doing the practice on your fears, limiting beliefs, and anger. You've identified your ideal client, and you're speaking only to that person, offering to them one thing with one takeaway. You're filling them up, right? That's your motivation. So there's no longer this whole thing around, oh my God, what will so-and-so think? You're okay with what so-and-so think. You've already done the work around that. Now you're here to serve. I'm going to double check, see if anybody's asked any questions. Okay, not so far. There's like a little delay. That's why I have to kind of go back and forth. So you're just being totally of service. So that is the metaphysics of writing, is placing yourself with your mindset, with your consciousness, to be in a position of service and to have yourself out of the way. So this is literally moving self out of the way. And then you can be a clear channel for creativity. You're going to be in the flow. You don't stop anything. You're not thinking while you're writing. You're just letting it come out of you as God or the universe or your intuition would have it, as the muse would have it. That's how it's coming out of you. And that's how you get to those sentences and those lines that you're like, I didn't even write that. Who the hell wrote that? Because I didn't do it. That's how you get there. You move yourself out of the way. And what I just shared with you is the exact process for moving yourself out of the way. That's how you get into the metaphysics of writing. And that's how you imbue what you're writing with the consciousness with which you're writing it in a very high vibration. And just reading your words are going to be so, it's going to be so moving for people. Okay, so Eileen says, how do you figure out what ideal reader wants and needs? Well, Eileen, what I would suggest is getting clear on all those questions that I just asked you about your ideal reader. And then once you can kind of guess what they want or need. You can also think, who in my life do I know who is an ideal reader? And one thing that happens is you might think about like 3 to 5 different people, or 1 or 2 people that you know who are just like, I love when they read my work. They totally get it. They love it. It fills them up. It moves them. I can tell that it's actually impacting them in some way. You think about them, and then you might create some kind of combo of them as your ideal reader, so that when you're writing, you're imagining them. Then you think about what those people want and need. What are they getting? You could even interview them about how they experience your writing. And if that isn't the case, where you don't have 2 people or 1 or 2 people who are like, okay, they really get it, and I know they're being served by my writing, then keep your ear to make something up. First of all, just make anything up about what they want and need. And Eileen, I know that you know, because you've told me who you want to write for. So that's who you're writing for. But guess their ideal, their wants and needs, and right toward that. You're going to end up speaking to people, and then as you keep your ear to the ground, you're going to hear more specifics about what they want and need. But it's like you have to be attuned to it. Most of us aren't attuned to it. In MFA programs, we're not taught really to think about what people are gaining from the work. We're taught about craft, which I honestly don't think is the best way for us to really get in touch with our unique writing skill. So you can do this now. You just does this all make sense? Let me know. Let me know if this makes sense. So you just make it up. And then once you're speaking to that person, you're going to be attuned to these people. I'm just double checking. Yes. Okay. Fabulous. Okay. So that is everything. Unless you all have more questions, that is everything I've got. It's really about putting yourself in the proper mindset. Before we go, I want to tell you a couple things. First of all, some of you might know, and some of you are already in on the portals, which are ways to work with me more closely over the next 3 months. And I wanted to let you know there are only, if you're interested in doing that, jump in. There are only 4 spots left total in all of the portals. We have 1 in the business, get your business off the ground portal, which I think would speak to everybody here. We have 2 in the metaphysics of money. I can't even believe that we have 2 left there. And that would definitely speak to all y'all. And then we have 1 spot left in follow your gut. So if you're interested in really honing your intuition, this would be a great portal for you. And these are 3-month journeys where you work with me in a group of 4. And there's also an option to work more closely with me where you can be with me on Voxer and do one-on-one session with me. And it's all at a fraction of the typical one-on-one rate. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to jump in. And I also have 2 more one-on-one spots left for me. And then I'll be closing those for the next 6 months. All of this closes on January 21st. So that is on Tuesday. So I just wanted to share that. If you're interested, I love you all, love my She Prophets, and please feel free to add any questions. If you're watching this later, I will jump back in here over the next couple days and answer any questions that you have. So have a lovely, lovely Wednesday. Love you guys. Right on.